Hello friends, welcome back to another market update videos. Today we're going to be analyzing the 5-year trend for Williamson County for the month of October. If you're a buyer or a seller, there's a lot of useful information in this video, so make sure that you stay tuned to find out. Now that the month of October is over, we can go back and analyze all the data and provide these statistics to you. So let's see how this month of October 2023 compares to the previous years, and we'll be analyzing the number of sales. We'll see the number of transactions, how the prices have changed, and we will also look at the inventory. So we're going to start off with the number of home sales. Okay, again, this is 2023, so we're going to be focusing on the orange line. Interesting to see how 2023 compares to the previous 4 years. The number of home sales has actually increased compared to 2022. So interesting to see how also the number of home sales tends to go up towards the end of the year. Later in the graphs, we're going to see how the inventory actually comes down at the end of the year due to the holidays and other issues, right? But the number of home sales tends to go up. I guess there's still people trying to get into a house for the holidays at the end of the year. Now that I think about, a lot of investors, in order to reduce taxes for 2023, they might, try to get into an investment home to help them when they do the taxes next year. There are several factors why number of home sales might increase. Again, there's less competition because the inventory tends to go down as well towards the end of the year. Interesting to see how overall, compared to the previous years, we do see a lot less homes transactions, a lot less homes for sale that sold compared to the previous years. Only this year is better than last year, 2022. Next up is the median sales price, okay? And this year is pretty much flat. That's what I can see. If you guys recall last year, the rates were really low at the beginning of last year, 2022. The prices were really high last year, and they went even higher at the beginning of the year last year. And then what happened around April and May? Well, the interest rates double. What happens is that a lot of the buyers decided to hold off on buying and purchasing a home. They were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen with the market. And then so we saw a lot more inventory. And then so a lot of the sellers were doing all these price reductions. And that happened starting, around May, June of last year. And we see that reflected on the prices. But then things started picking up again as far as the median sales price goes. But they've been up and down, up and down. But overall, if we look at October of 2023, the median sales price is pretty much identical from the beginning of 2023. The median sales price is still way higher than pre-COVID levels, which is 2019. We see in 2020, we started seeing the prices go higher, towards the end of the year. And that's because we were already in COVID, and that started increasing the prices. The demand went up. If you're a seller, what I can see from these graphs is that you're a seller and you need to move for any reason, right? They wish to downsize, they wish to, upgrade their home. Maybe their family has grown, or maybe their kids are now out of the house and now they need to downsize, or just basically the neighborhood. There's a lot of reasons why a seller might want to sell a house, right? So in my opinion, it's still a good time to sell. You're still going to obtain a lot of equity, especially if you purchase back in 2019 or earlier years, right? Prices are really not going anywhere. They're pretty much flat for this year. Are they going to go up or down? Nobody really knows what's going to happen next year. But as of right now, prices are pretty much stable. Now, a lot of the sellers might be thinking, why will I want to sell my house when I'm locked into a really low interest rate right now? Okay, so let's say most of the sellers, if you purchase in 2019 or earlier, probably your interest rate is in the 3 or 4s, right? Why would you want to sell a house at a 3% interest rate and then go into another house at a higher interest rate? Earlier this year, we hit the highest ever, the highest in the last 23 years. We passed 8%. It's lower now. The rates have come down. We're in the low 7s. But what would you want to sell at 3%, a house at a 3% and then get into a house at a 7%? Well, one, because you need to sell, right? The house doesn't fit your needs anymore. Another good reason might be you want to take advantage of these prices. There's still a lot of equity, like I said, and it's locked into the house. When you sell a house, when you sell your primary residence, you can get up to $500,000 in proceeds and don't have to pay taxes on it. I'm not a tax advisor, but this is one of the few things that I know about taxing. If you're single, then you can get up to $250,000 in proceeds, money that hits your bank, and don't have to pay taxes on that. You might want to use that money for something, right? Maybe you want to take advantage of all this equity that you have, and then just basically, take some of that equity and then put the rest into the next house. So your next house payment might not be as high as you think because you're putting such a large down payment into the new house. Also, a lot of new constructions are offering a lot of incentives right now. Think about the possibility of selling your house, taking all this equity out, maybe using some of that money to pay off student loans, pay off cars, or whatever you want to do with that money, right? And then use the rest as a down payment, large down payment, on a new house that's going to have a fixed rate for 30 years at 4.99. My point here is that there's a lot of deals happening right now. There's a lot of incentives provided by builders. And so that is if you go into a new construction. Now, if you go into a resale, there's still a lot of really good options for you as a buyer, right? You're selling a house and then you're buying another house. I don't know if you heard about the 2-1 rate buy downs, right? There's also even a 3-2-1 rate buy downs, okay? Which means on a 3-2-1 for the first year, your rate is going to be 3 points lower. The second year is going to be 2 points lower. And the third year is going to be 1 point lower. On the fourth year, it's going to go back to the regular market rate. Why not take advantage of this right now? Also, if you're a buyer and you're waiting for the market to crash and the prices to go down to pre-COVID level, I don't think that's going to happen. Sorry. There's such a big gap right now with the prices right now compared to pre-COVID. But then look at what happened with the prices, really. I mean, this year, the rates have been high this year, and the prices are pretty much flat. The median sales price has remained pretty much flat compared to the beginning of the year. As a buyer, I don't think the prices are going to go any lower. Take advantage of the new construction or take advantage of the rate buy downs, okay? Okay, on this next graph, we can see the average sales price. We can see that the average sales price is pretty much identical to the beginning of the year. And then see what tends to happen towards the end of the year. The average sales price tends to go up because a lot of people want to get into a house at the end of this year, right? The total number of listings. All right, so I mentioned previously, if you're a seller, I think it's still a good time to sell. Many reasons why you might want to buy another house and sell your current house. So if you're relocating, if you're moving out of the state, if you're moving out of Austin, think about this. Right now, I think, look at what happens with the inventory at the end of the year. And that's been the case for the last 4 years, okay? The inventory tends to go down. A lot of sellers take the property off the market. In my opinion, you should keep it in the market because a lot of the competition is going to go away. All right, that's what we see here in the graphs. There is less inventory towards the end of the year. So I think you're taking advantage of all the equity that you have because as we saw before, prices have stabilized basically, and you're still getting a lot of equity on the sale of your home. Is it a good time to sell? Well, there will be less competition at the end of this year if you're a seller. Now, if you're a buyer, the inventory, the total number of listings, basically the inventory has gone up so much more than what it used to be. So you do have a lot of options, as a buyer. As we can see on the next slide here, this is the monthly inventory. I think this market is very, very balanced between buyers and sellers. I feel that anything between 3 and 3.5 months of inventory, that's basically a very balanced market where buyers can still negotiate. Buyers have a lot of options. Other markets are different and other states are different. So this is specifically for Williamson County. We see that there's a lot of inventory right now where there's 3 months of inventory, which means you do have some options. And I think negotiations are possible right now as a buyer. As a seller, well, I think it's a good time to sell because, like I said, it's still balanced. Inventory is going to start going lower probably by the end of the year. So why not list your house now? You might get, an offer fairly quick. And what I've seen is that homes that are priced correctly, they are selling. But the balanced market is 3 months. I think anything less than 3 months, let's say 2 months of inventory, that's really tending towards the sellers. Anything after 4 months of inventory, in my opinion, is leaning more towards the buyer, where the buyer really does have a lot of advantage on power to negotiate. And we can always, go lower than the asking price. Right now, we're in the 3.2 months of inventory. I think it's very balanced for both buyers and sellers. This is a market trend for October. I really hope that this was useful to you. If you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help. We can go into details. And again, every situation is specific. to the client. So if you're a seller, there's pros and cons. If you're a buyer, there's pros and cons. So my name is Carlos Cruz. I'm a realtor with Austin 101 Realty, and I'm part of the Cruz Home Group. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys on the next video.